Now, he will need to win 2 more games. Lex just lost this game, so he will have the option to go first in game number 4 of the finals here. Again, 1 more game, and Lex, our 13-year-old player from New Jersey, made the trip out to Tinley Park, Illinois, basically across the country, all the way to the Midwest. Played in the higher division, went undefeated through the Swiss rounds, won in top 8, won in top 4, has not dropped a match this whole weekend, 1 game away from being the Klaczynski Open champion. Can he finish it off and seal the deal here against Ross Cawthon, 2-time Worlds runner-up, one of the game's legendary players? Simply put, one of the best, one of the most consistent players we've ever seen. He is qualified for every single World Championship in the history of the Pokemon TCG. This dates back to 2002, under the Wizards of the Coast era. If I remember correctly, that is 11 straight World Championships. I'm not sure if anybody else has actually matched that. Perhaps Sammy Sucum. I'll have to ask him when I get home. We'll see if he qualified in 02. Alright, so we're shuffling up here for game number 4. And just think about the absurdity of the situation. Ross's pedigree in this game, all of his results, he is established as one of the best. Going up against Lex, someone we haven't really heard of. Someone who doesn't really have any results to his name. And Ross is going to lose to a 13-year-old who has never won a major event, at least not to my knowledge. Anything can happen in the Pokemon TCG, and that's what makes it so exciting to watch and so exciting to play. Will this Cinderella story be complete here? Or will Ross tie this series up here and take it to game number 5? We're about to start game number 4 here from the finals of the Klaczynski Open. And here we go. We got 2 Sableye from Lex and a Darkrai going up against the Keldeo EX from Ross. Now from here on out, Ross just has to get good starts. He cannot get slow starts at all. He has no room for error for the rest of this series. We do see Lex Ultra Ball turn 1, gets that Trubbish into play, and we'll see what he does from there. He just junk hunts for the 2 items in his discard pile. So no supporter for Lex on that first turn. Very bad start for him. Now I'm sure Ross will pick up on it. He'll see, oh, you didn't have anything that turn. Okay. Well, now I'm going to avoid, if I can, playing down cards like N, which would give Lex a new hand, Tropical Beach, which would allow him to draw more cards, and I'm probably not going to want to play Chorus, which puts me at 3 cards. So if Ross can help it, he won't play any of those cards at any cost. But if he's in a situation where he has maybe like a Professor Juniper and he just has too many cards he can't afford to discard, he may be forced to do this. You know, even if he has the Tool Scrapper in his hand and a Juniper, he would have to make such a tough decision. Do I play this Juniper and risk Lex top decking out of the situation and him getting a Garbodor into play? How do you decide that? Or do you play the N, give your opponent a brand new hand, and keep your Tool Scrapper alive in the deck? These are the tough decisions you have to encounter sometimes in Pokemon, and I'm sure Ross will think it over and come up with a good one. So now Ross is playing that Ultra Ball. Discarded 2 cards and can search his deck for a Pokemon. We'll probably see him search for a Squirtle here. He's going to check through his deck and probably just make sure nothing important is in his prize cards. Sometimes in Pokemon, at the beginning of the game, after you draw your opening hand, you do put down 6 face-down cards from your deck as your prize cards, and every time you take a knockout, you take one of those, and if you collect all 6 prize cards, you win the game. But this also leaves an element of randomness in the game. Sometimes you can have important cards in your prize cards, so anytime you get to search your deck and look for something, you want to search and see, is there anything missing that ended up in my prize cards? Ross is very good at this. It's probably what he just did here. And we're going to have a computer search. That ace spec card discards 2 cards here, and looks like he discarded 2 superior energy retrieval on the first turn. That is very devastating. So he can search for any card with that computer search. That'll probably go for a supporter card of some kind. If he doesn't already have a Professor Juniper. And looks like he's got a Water and a Juniper. So that's his supporter for the turn. Discard your hand and draw 7. Of course, Ross did not have a hand after that, so it was simply draw 7. And Ross is going to be looking to build his hand up as much as possible to potentially get a turn 2 Rare Candy into Blastoise. Start to use that Deluge ability and power up all of his attackers. Here we have Lex using an Ultra Ball. Discarding 2 cards. Does not look like he topped it. Oh, never mind. And you can see the look on Ross's face after that one. It's that look where you know your opponent had nothing. He was living off his top card. And he drew a Professor Juniper. That is 7 fresh cards for Lex. Now this game has changed quite a bit. Also, he got a Garbodor off of the Ultra Ball. So now we can see a turn 2 Garbodor on what looked like a very bad game for Lex. We have a Dark Patch, a Hypnotoxic Laser on the active Keldeo EX. And let's see. Looks like it's going to be a heads on that laser. Does he get a Float Stone to shut off abilities as well? No. Just a Junk Hunt for that Dowsing Machine. And an Ultra Ball. This has to be where Ross makes a stand. He needs to get that Blastoise this turn. Ideally, he would like to get Rare Candy, Blastoise, 2 Water Energy onto the active, and a Pokemon Catcher onto that Garbodor. Take it out of play before Garbotoxin can come into effect and shut off all of his abilities. If he could pull that off, he would actually be in pretty great shape. He would get access to Deluge for a while, get to keep attaching more energy. If he can't get a Blastoise this turn though, Lex definitely will have another supporter for the following turn. He did get that Dowsing Machine, probably get a Float Stone, and begin to just put pressure on Ross, take away his abilities, and then slowly build up Darkrai's, begin to Night Spear. So what's Ross going to do here? Looks like he has 3 cards set aside. He's probably going to play an Ultra Ball. 3 cards, 1 Ultra Ball. Discard 2 cards for the cost. If he has a Rare Candy, of course, this will go for a Blastoise. So what's Ross going to do here? He's going to take his time, I can tell you that much. This finals match has been going on for a pretty darn long time already. Best of 5, we're in game number 4. And Ross is looking at that Blastoise. He is going to Ultra Ball, get that Blastoise. Looks like he has a Rare Candy in his hand. That's usually what this signifies. And Skyla, okay. So he's got the Skyla. That will get him the rare candy. But does he have... Oh, wait, that's a Professor Juniper. That's not a rare candy. So this may be a situation where Ross has the rare candy and the Blastoise, but just not the water energy to power up his attacker. And if that's the case, that's almost as bad as not having a Blastoise if Garbodor comes out with a tool. But there is the Deluge, and there's a Deluge and a catcher on the Garbodor. This is a perfect turn for Ross. This is exactly what he would have hoped for. All I can wonder is why didn't that happen sooner? That is exactly what he's hoping for. Wow. Incredible start from Ross. That's exactly what he needed to stay in this game. Now Lex is left with no Trubbish or Garbodor in play. Ross will have complete access to abilities for this following turn. We see an Ultra Ball for a second Trubbish. Lex had the foresight to junk hunt for the Ultra Ball, knowing he will need to get the second Trubbish in play to keep the lock going. What else can he do this turn, though? Here's a Hypnotoxic Laser, and looks like, guess it's a Tails. And we have a Juniper, gonna draw a fresh 7. There's an Energy Search. If he could power up Darkrai this turn, perhaps Night Spear is a good option. Ross doesn't have anything beyond this Keldeo EX. He would need some more cards. He would need a new attacker, plus some energy. There's the Burbank City Gym as well. He's going to play a random receiver, just get a supporter for the following turn. Reveal until he flips over and N. So put that into his hand and shuffle the remaining cards back into his deck. If you're Ross here, you're probably hoping for another Pokemon catcher. Take out the Trubbish. Once you clear those out of play, you know you can just power up Black Kyurem EX, Black Ballista, take down Darkrai with ease. Looks like Lex is looking at his discard pile. It looks like he's going to junk hunt once again. He does not have the option to Night Spear. So what 2 items would he grab here? We know Ross has a supporter for the next turn. He played that Skyla for the Juniper, so he'll have plenty of cards to work with. If he can power up another attacker next turn, even if he can't bring up the Trubbish to knock it out, well, at least he'll have more energy down, and he'll have multiple attackers powered up. So this turn is going to decide a lot in this game. If Ross can get that catcher, bring out the Trubbish, get the knockout, all of a sudden Lex has no way to shut off Blastoise, no way to shut off Rush In, and Ross will be free to use Deluge, power up Black Kyurem EX, take down these Darkrai's with ease. If he can't find the catcher though, Lex will have an opportunity to get that Garbodor in play with a Float Stone, activate Garbotoxin again. So Ross, at the very least, needs to power up an attacker this turn. So even if he doesn't get the catcher this turn, maybe on the following turn, he could then get a catcher, bring out the Garbodor, knock it out, and then regain his abilities. We see a Deluge onto the Black Kyurem EX. Gets a Juniper for 7 cards here. And he's probably going to hope for a second Keldeo EX as well, so he can rush in, get rid of the poison, and then rush back in with the Keldeo that's active right now. We see a Squirtle. That's not a Keldeo. And you gotta think, if he doesn't get another Keldeo, will he just leave this active one there to take more poison damage? It's taking 30 between turns, thanks to that Burbank City Gym. Ross is looking through his discard pile. Maybe he has a superior energy retrieval, and he may want to get some more energy back to deluge more this turn. There's a Tropical Beach. That'll make that poison damage less impactful. Another Deluge onto Black Kyurem EX. And another Deluge. And a Pokemon Catcher. Huge turn for Ross. Takes the Trubbish out of play. Ross has not missed a beat at all this game. Turn 2, Secret Sword. Knocks out the Garbodor that Lex was unable to get a Float Stone on. Follows it up with another catcher, but Lex immediately has the Super Rod. Seems like this has happened every game. Ross goes after the Garbodor. Takes both out of play. And then Lex immediately plays the Super Rod. Shuffles the line back in. And keeps his hope alive of perhaps taking away Ross's ability in the future. But again, maybe at this point it's too late. After Ross has already taken out Lex's Trubbish, he's up 2 prizes here. Unless Lex can get Trubbish down this turn, he's going to give Ross basically 2 turns of abilities. And at that point, it just might be too late. You'll be down too many prizes. There will be just too many energy in play. Darkrai can't really keep up with these Pokemon like Black Kyurem EX. They could just do 200 damage. And even Keldeo EX, once it gets enough water energy, is going to be really strong. But we do see Lex take the first step here. He's going to Dowsing Machine for that Burbank City Gym. And play... maybe... thinking about... waiting... He's probably got 2 supporters. Goes for a Colress instead. Alright, so instead of playing an N, putting Ross at 4 cards, maybe he kind of looked for Ross's reaction, see whether or not that was a good play. I don't know if that's legal or not, but that might have been what happened. And then decided to play the Colress for 6 instead of the N for 6. So now Lex will get 6 fresh cards here. He's going to hope to power up Darkrai here. If he can, Night Spear. He does knock out Keldeo EX, thanks to the Burbank City Gym. There's the third energy. Does he get an Ultra Ball as well? Yes, he does. Can search for Trubbish this turn. He's going to play a random receiver. Gets a Juniper for the following turn. And we'll probably see Night Spear. From Lex, he'll tie up the game, knock out the Keldeo EX with Night Spear, take those 2 prizes on the Keldeo EX. Puts a Dark Claw on the other Darkrai, and a second Ultra Ball. Or wait, this is the... no, this is just the first Ultra Ball. Sorry, he played a random receiver before. There's the Ultra Ball for the Trubbish. So now he's threatening to get Garbodor in play next turn with a tool to shut off Ross's abilities. And Ross cannot like seeing this. This was the worst thing that could have happened for him this turn. Is Keldeo's going to get knocked out, and there's a Garbodor looming on the horizon. So Lex is going to retreat for free thanks to Darkrai's Dark Cloak, and Night Spear hit the Black Kyurem EX for 30. Going to take the knockout on that Keldeo EX, tie the game up, and now Ross has to figure out what he wants to do here. What does he have in his hand? He's going to draw his card for the turn. I saw water energy in his hand. He can play that down. He's still free to use Deluge this turn. Going to search his discard pile, see what he's gone through so far. Maybe looking for some energy if he has a superior energy retrieval. Obviously, the one thing Ross wants this turn is a Lightning Energy. If he can get a Lightning Energy, he can use Black Ballista, knock out this Darkrai EX for 200 damage. He will have to discard 3 energy to do it though. And once Garbotoxin comes in effect, that will be a big deal. Plays the water, plays down a second Black Kyurem EX, and here's the Juniper. Gonna go ahead and draw 7 cards here. So he needs the Lightning Energy here. Does he get it? If not, Lex will have a huge opportunity to just get a free Night Spear, basically. Put 120 more damage on Ross's field. And perhaps have the advantage in this matchup. We see a Rare Candy, and we see a Blastoise. And I do see the Lightning in Ross's hand. So he's going to go ahead and play that on the active Black Kyurem EX. And we will see that Black Ballista this turn. Darkrai will go down. And Ross goes down to 2 prizes. Just needs 2 more to tie this series up. He was down 0-2 in this series. And he could make a big comeback here and force a Game 5 at the Klaczynski Open. Lex plays that Juniper here, gets the Float Stone on his Trubbish. Does he get the Garbodor to go with it? If not, he gives Ross 1 more turn to use Deluge. And normally Lex has been playing down his cards very quickly. And we can see very quickly whether or not he got what he needed. And I don't see that Garbodor in his hand. Yes, we're just going to see a Junk Hunt. No Garbodor in play. Ross actually has an opportunity to win this turn. If he can get a Pokemon catcher and enough energy to use Black Ballista, he can knock out that Darkrai EX and win the game this turn. So does Ross have the energy? That'll probably be the most important part. If he does he have the Pokemon catcher as well? There is the Skyla. He's going to have at least a catcher or a superior energy retrieval. If he has one or the other in the hand already, it's actually a regular energy retrieval. Getting back 2 waters, there is the Deluge, and there's the Pokemon catcher. Ross Cawthon ties the series up 2 games apiece, and we're going to be headed to game number 5. One final game to decide this tournament, folks. Ross was down 0-2 to start this series. He's won 2 straight games, and now it's one final game. It all comes down to this. Who will win the Klaczynski Open? Will it be Ross Cawthon, the established veteran? Will it be Lex D'Andrea, who has not lost a single game this entire weekend? The 13-year-old kid from New Jersey. Is he going to be able to pull this off, or will Ross make an epic 3-game comeback here in the finals? Looks like both players have gotten up during this match. A little break here, take a bathroom break. And, it's going to be a few minutes before they come back. So I might do the same. Alright, so be right back, guys. In a minute here, we're going to resume with game number 5. This could not be any more epic. Be right back. Stay tuned. We'll be here for game number 5.